time. I know everybody had to vote after work, so I'm glad you still made time to come here. Anyway, I'm Bernard with Mesh Studios. A little bit about us. We're basically a group of ragtag designers that decided that we weren't quite satisfied with the status quo of what was happening in office space and workspace design. So we're pulled together our resources from architects, engineers, furniture design, and industrial designers to kind of get together. The idea of MASH is that we're a mash of different people that are kind of coming forward to kind of solve these problems together. Anyhow, we're based right here in Los Angeles. Our design studio's right here on the west side off Venice Boulevard. We do our manufacturing down primarily all of it in Gwen Park, but we've got a couple other facilities that we're also manufacturing in. Some of the guys that we do work with, somehow we got wrapped up in this whole tech industry, and it seemed kind of one begat the next and the next. And the reason we enjoyed working with them is, number one, they like cool stuff, but also they understood the way that technology really integrates and allowed them to do different things and do special things that they weren't able to do before. And that's really our approach, is historically the way furniture used to work is, you went to a catalog and you pointed at a pretty picture and said, hey, I like that, I want to buy that too. Our approach is a little different, is that we can, every client we work with is a little different, has a different set of needs, so we design the space specifically for them. I started way back when. My first job was in a gray cubicle, probably about 500 cubicles, all at least 6 feet tall, so you couldn't see anybody. You never heard from your neighbor until it was lunchtime or they had a cold. But so I think that really started my thinking as to what can be done different. Our goal really is to kind of disrupt the status quo of office furniture. If you walk into these offices full of plastic laminate and these silver powder coated legs, we thought it's not really a comfy environment, and everybody tends to be working a lot more hours than they used to. And I think that we collaborate a lot more. So our approach to furniture right now is we don't work at a desk anymore. This great technology thing really allowed us to, we call it like the migration. So we discovered that we can work from anywhere. You can work from a bus stop, you can work from your bed, a sofa. But the problem is, when you're away from your colleagues and your clients and whatnot, you do lose some of that communication, which is really important. My favorite thing to do is when we move into an office, or even our own office, I just tear out all the walls. That's the first thing we do. But people aren't sitting behind desks anymore. We'll discuss some ergonomics later, but what we're finding is that even looking around here, there's chairs, there's sofas, there's coffee bars. That's where work's happening. They happen to be all in the same place now, but you don't need to be sitting behind a cubicle anymore. This was a project we did. This is a square up in the Bay Area. But every office we work on now, we're almost breaking them down into thirds, in that a third of the space is reserved for desks, a third of the space is reserved for these kind of individualized meeting areas, whether it be these kind of hybrid cafeteria areas, and but we're also doing a lot of these high top tables because again, nobody likes to sit behind desks anymore. We've got different kinds of pieces we'll do for different clients. What our goal really is we'll go into a company and ask them how they work. What kind of people do they have working there? even from things like what's, I know you're not supposed to, but like what's the age of your average employee? A lot of these tech companies, there's, I walk in there and I'm the oldest guy in the building. So it's kind of a weird thing because I've never been the oldest guy in the building before. But anyhow, just looking at some different ways that people interact. You're still doing the same work, but it doesn't need to be chained to a desk anymore. This was the new space for Uber in San Francisco. This is the new campus, and again, they're branding coming out in the space. Even a space like Cross Campus, being able to integrate your corporate colors, your kind of corporate identity, your brand strategy into your furniture and your environment. It's been happening for years and years in restaurant design and retail design and all these other things, but everybody had kind of left the branding up to those industries, and the office was, again, some great people that everybody came to work. So what we did that's a little bit different from most manufacturers is we kind of came up with this, basically, because we're a group of these wily designers, we said, hey, why can't we do this, we call it like mass customization. Technologies allow us to do so many things from, whatever, from Uber, I can dial a cab from my cell phone. Why can't I use some of the similar technologies or same technologies to make the work environment a little bit better? Some of the things, some of the ways we work a little bit different. We've kind of come up with this, if you could imagine these tech companies, we get a call and somebody says, hey, listen, we're moving 1,000 people into a new building in 8 weeks, and we're looking for this, these are the specifications. What can you guys do? 100% custom, starting from scratch. We've put a system in place, again, from the way we do our visual communication to engineering, and then right away going to this computerized CNC machines and factories and stuff like that. But because technology happens so fast, we are a product of what these guys are looking for. And again, that's kind of why we exist. Back in the day, a company like Herman Miller or whatever would take 5-10 years to develop a chair. Granted, it's a great chair, but the way we're working right now in this workplace design, if we were to wait 5 years on anything, it's already come, left, gone, and I can make furniture for my big, tall, gray cubicles again. We have been integrating our design aesthetic to people a little bit more. I tend to say that we're edgy, but we also have a little bit of a little bit Amish factor to us, that we really like to kind of dig all kind of the garbage and scrape away the nastiness off of what design used to be. I think it was a lot of decoration and a lot of somebody trying to push their ideals on somebody through design. But our philosophy on design is really to get to the root of what's important, what's the piece about, what does the table need to be. We've got a couple of pieces here that we brought just for fun. This is a table mock-up from a company, GitHub, up in the Bay Area. And they had come to us and said, hey, they're a bunch of programmer nerds, a bunch of really good programmer nerds that came up with a new company. And again, it was one of these things, they didn't exist that long ago, and all of a sudden they're giant and had lots of financial backers. But they didn't. Their goal is to there's this kind of brain suck going on in tech right now, where all the engineers they're like gold, so they're being heavily recruited So all these tech firms are spending a bunch of money trying to lure them to come work for them. And that's sort of this kind of fun, that's where the fun comes in. That's why we really enjoy working for these guys, because they're looking for something a little out there. This was a table, they saw a table we had done, this kind of cast. We had an idea one time is, why doesn't anybody cast furniture anymore? You know, they left the technology, 200 years ago. It seems like a good thing for us to get back into again. But they looked at it and then they said, but we want it to go up and down. So we said, hey, we can do it. So we put our heads together and we engineered a little desk bit. Went up and down for them. This is some of the other things. Because some of the other desks, but because every building is different, every space is a little different, every client's a little different, by having this sort of ability to customize through technology very, very quickly, we're able to, it ends up saving a lot of costs for clients and stuff like that. One of the things that it's for all you guys that are designers out there, I'm sure you've heard the same thing, but the first question everybody's asking is, what can we do that's sustainable? It's something that's kind of close to me. I kind of went to a hippie school, and we talked a whole lot about sustainability back when it wasn't quite cool. And now that it's cool, it's kind of we're in a good place. But anyhow, one of the things that I like to talk about. Oh, this is a slide of the Uber desk, we call it. This is again this kind of branded idea is integrating some of the, this is the Uber logo essentially. We don't like to play that way, quite so literal, but the client did. So, but we're able to kind of pull these elements and bring these into the workstations. Notice in most of the things you see, we stay away from like these real plasticky looking desks and white and we're trying to do this more natural approach. If you're gonna spend 10, 12 hours a day, would you rather spend it in this kind of sterile environment, or we've kind of been developing this aesthetic where things are, we call it the living room of an office. Even looking around here, it looks a whole lot more like a living room than an office of 5 years ago. That's a pretty common direction. Lower lights, softer materials, things that aren't quite so harsh. But getting back to sustainability, one thing we hear a lot of is this post-consumer? Is this what kind of? We just had a big project with one of the big tech companies asking about what kind of glue is in this plywood, things like that. Some of them, I guess what I'd like to point out is just throwing out a catchword like that can be very, very dangerous. To consult an actual professional and ask them what makes something green, what makes it sustainable. This is a table we did over at AOL. That was a boardroom table, but that material it's a redwood. So they wanted to use some material that was kind of a locally sourced. But that was some redwood that came out of old wine vats where they stored wine. So a lot of that kind of red patina isn't from the wood, but it's actually from the wine soaking in. And I guess the funny joke was when everybody showed up on Monday, the room smelled like a winery. And we had to talk them down and say, hey, it'll die down or it'll die down. But it really reeked like a boozer. Anyway, getting back to what I consider to be sustainable, because I do believe strongly in it. It's not only material selections, but one of the things that I push the most about design and our designs in general Number one, the most sustainable thing you can do in the planet is make a desk that's going to be around for 1,000 years. Build something that's not going to, if there was, I always, when I start talking about it, I'm always afraid that I'm going to see some lasers pointing through some windows, that somebody from these big furniture manufacturers are going to take me out. But they have to come up with new designs. They have to come up with a new trend in order to sell somebody furniture every 5 years. I don't believe that. I'd rather sell somebody a desk once, sell it to everybody on the planet, and then when we're done with that, we'll move on, and then we'll, who knows, we'll make something else. Anyhow, but we believe in staying away from trends, and then also because technology moves so fast, it's really difficult to integrate what the most common technology is. I don't know. We sort of straddled this. 5 years ago, we were still selling desks that were super deep because everybody still had, the big CRT displays. And if you ask somebody if they have a CRT, they kind of laugh. It's a dead technology that's gone. We do talk about some things that there are some technologies that are coming and are going to stay. So we are attending those, and that's kind of a fun thing. But really, my favorite statement when somebody asks, what can we do to be green about it? And I say, well, number one, make it so it's going to be cool in 10 years, and then number two, make it that it's going to last. So that's kind of a huge one for us. So that was, some other cool stuff. That was I think a law library up in the Bay Area. But a lot of all that wood that we used was actually pulled out of the building when they were doing the renovation. So they cut out beams, that they didn't need, and then they sent them to us. We cut them down and made tables out of it and shipped it back to them. So that's, things that have kind of a cool story. We dig making stuff like that as well. It's, I get to throw in my green sensibility. But then also, all the CEOs like to tell their buddies that, this is made out of the building. That was some more stuff. That was kind of a cool, I don't know where it came from, but one day we said that we're going to go industrial revolution on style furniture. But it really did support what we believed in, is that this stuff's going to last forever. And something that's even more important to me on furniture is, that it, not only would it be disassemblable, so in theory you can take that leg off and it's super easy to recycle. But my favorite thing is to think that we're going to make a table now, somebody's going to keep it in their office for 10 years, and then they're not, they're going to move on, move out. We're all going to be on hover skateboards in 20 years, whatever, so they don't need desks because they'll read our minds. But then eventually that desk could have a second life and end up in the garage as a workbench or a beer pong table or whatever it is. Something else we look to, or that's becoming, it's always, ergonomics is, it's a word I love and hate at the same time. It's the study of the human form and how we move, how we act. It basically makes making a perfect desk 100% impossible. It's something that it's almost unachievable. But some of the ways that we have been addressing it in some of these products are things like just this idea of motion. We call it in migration. Most doctors say the number one worst thing you can do in ergonomics is to sit somebody behind a desk for 8 hours and have them not move. You want to have people moving around. You want to have people that move from space to space. They get up, they stand up, they sit down. Something that's awfully trendy right now are these sit-stand desks. So that's something we've been working on a lot. but again, how do you address, if you truly want to be ergonomic, you're addressing that, 7'6" guy and that 3'4" guy. In real world, like, you have to address everybody. So that's why it's a word I love to hate. But some of the things we do is, again, we've got some electric motors and some desks. This is another project, I think it's called U-Star, but a new banking company. Again, integrating data and power into these things, but trying to do it in kind of a clean, simple way. Again, is a little bit of our work philosophy. Is not to over-design a space. We always have a joke in the studio is if you walk into a space that has too much architecture, too much design in it, we always say that, it looks like the architect exploded in here because it's like stuff hanging everywhere. But some of our pieces, like we tend to boil it down. This is a simple storage unit. It doubles as a seat. It rolls around. You can use it as a bench. You can put your gym bag in there, your motorcycle helmet, whatever. Utilitarian. And some really simple things you can do if your company won't spring for the big fancy stand desk is just adjust your the heights of your monitors and things like that to a comfortable height. One of my favorite things is we'll outfit a company with all these great, beautiful desks, and the company or the owner will say, "Hey, how much is the sit stand?" We'll give them a price, and they'll say, "We'll just do the sit," and then we'll come back, 6 months later, and the new trend is they go to IKEA and they buy these little coffee tables, these little square coffee tables. So they use those as their keyboard trays, and then they stack 2 up, and then they put their monitor behind it. So it's the $20 hack. But we always warn these guys, it's going to happen one way or another. Either you do it with a design solution, or somebody's going to come up with it. If we like to go and walk into a space before we take on the project and look at the way the guys are working. If I walk into something like a post-production house, these guys they have cardboard over the desks. They hate light. That's their thing. They don't like light on their monitors. So everything's about they'll put up plywood and cardboard to shield themselves, but then other spaces will sell somebody a bunch of privacy panels, and then we'll come back 2 years later and we'll see the story of where all the privacy panels are, because they didn't listen to what the people were looking for. Some of these, I want to talk a little bit about how we work and how, I think, to me at least, furniture's changed and design's changed. I know there's a couple of architects here that can back me up on this, but historically there used to be an architect that would walk into a space and say, hey, they were experts on carpet, they were experts on office furniture and lighting. But now these projects that we're getting into, there's usually about 15 to 20 different design groups that are getting together, whether it be, one of my favorite things is I went to the Google office in New York. We're working on a project over there, and they have an app on their phones that they can control their microclimates. So all their HVAC, basically, if I'm standing underneath that vent, I can click it, and my area will be cooler than everybody else's. So, these are some of these technologies that are coming in. But there's a dude that's his job. If we asked, we asked Todd over there to put those things together, it's the expertise and the knowledge base have gotten so much further. But our profession is that of furniture. We make desks. We make desks, tables, and really look to how things work and how people are addressing their jobs these days. But one thing somebody always asks us is, what's the future of furniture? And usually I say that I'm not going to tell them, but sometimes I can give kind of some of these more generic answers, because I don't fully believe in. Like I said, we kind of have this Amish thing, but when we talk about smart technology that's coming into your homes. There's also these smart technologies that are getting into office furniture, things like we call them smart desks, things that desks that'll sense. They've got little sensors. They'll tell you if when somebody came in, who came in, who's sitting at what desk. We recently finished a project where the new term is, hoteling, is that nobody really owns a desk anymore. Everybody's able to move around. But what becomes kind of an interesting problem with that is what happens when you need to go find, Ben and Devin, and you're on 3 floors, and each floor is about a city block. So there are people and companies out there that have trackers, which I thought was kind of neat and kind of creepy at the same time, but they tell you exactly where you are in a building. But moving on to that, you come up to a desk and you've got your card. The desk kind of reads that you're there. It can say how long you're there. A lot of these HR guys, again, they're a little creepy, but they do measure those statistics. How long is somebody in the building for? How long? Their goal is to really, they want people in the building. There's a reason. It's not because they're super sweet that they offer, concierge and free lunch and a free dinner and to freeze your eggs. That's because they want you in the desk. So it's kind of, it's interesting. I mean, every time we sign up for an app or something, they're doing the same thing. So I guess offices are only the next step. But how we're addressing some of this stuff is, there's some inductive charging technologies that I think are kind of neat. Basically allow you to charge any device through your desk. The kind of the bane of my existence when we're working with tech companies is just wires. As wireless as they get. One thing goes wireless, but the next it still needs some sort of power. So that's something that we're kind of monkeying with right now is kind of an inductive charging and whatnot. And it hasn't been sorted out. I'm going to let it to these guys over at RKS. To sort that technology and then supply some of us with that. But that's something that I'm kind of keying in on. And again, sort of using, what's the next level of technology? So I've always felt that there's no need for a desk to weigh so much. We've come full circle. Our goal is to make the heaviest desk in the world, and I know that I've got to start making light desks because all my guys are getting a little too old for it. So I'm going to need to sort that out. But that's something else we're working on. Not to say that we're going to IKEA it, but we do want to figure out how to make something lightweight. Anyway, that's kind of in a nutshell a little bit what we're about. I'm going my way. This is, we talk about futuristic and futurism. This was a project we did here in LA as well. But anyhow, that's a little bit about who we are and in what we do, and I'd rather kind of keep this a little looser and not bore you guys to death and put you to bed. So why don't we move on to the next?
Yeah, awesome.
Here, we can share this one. Might be a little weird.
Fair. It's small enough, I could probably start talking. So anyway, this is amazing stuff. I was just thinking to myself, like, you know, you've had a very strong passion and belief in what you were doing, and had a great idea to take this approach, which is clearly resonating. What was the point? What was the point where, or can you cite a specific project or a moment where it was like, wow, this is like, I kind of like, I've made it, or this is a really big break, like I can't believe I'm in here. You know?
If you want to call you when that happens. No, you know what? We've got to go. I always promise that when I can't say it anymore because Steve Jobs isn't around. But I always said that when the phone rang and somebody said, "Hey, we got a project we want to talk to you about. It's up in Cupertino." So that was one that I'm holding on for. But yeah, it's we worked really hard. There's a group of the guys right here in the second row over here, so you can go say hi to them too. We stocked the panel so they clap. But good job. Anyway, but it was really an organic thing. Like we didn't start that long ago. I had been doing furniture for a number of years, and I moved to LA. It was kind of a cool story because I was doing the same thing in New York, but it was really hard to do. Like the idea of making a piece of furniture in your 400 square foot apartment with one outlet made it difficult. So, but coming out to LA, found all this space. And a funny RKS story is that I actually went to RKS and interviewed for a job, and I really needed that job, really needed it. And I could have been you, could have been Robbie, I don't know. They said, "Wow, you've got great furniture. You ought to go into that." So I guess I have you guys to thank. But anyway, California really is an awesome, like, I grew up in Chicago and lived in New York and came here, but it's such a great environment for this kind of free creative thinking. Like, nobody looks at you crazy when you say you're going to do something a little bit different, except your parents maybe. They'll say that why you quit your job. But I'm sorry, getting back to your question about a project that sort of, it's weird, we're working on, I don't know why my guys don't, their heads explode, but like at any given time there's a giant Facebook order, a big, we're working on, Zuckerberg's desk right now. A lot of stuff at Google, Uber, and all the kind of the who's who, Pinterest, Twitter, like all those dudes. But it's because they're doing cool stuff, and that's why we're just kind of not to say we're along for the ride, but all these companies they've gotten to where they're at now by this sort of team. These team-based approach. It's a bunch of really smaller companies that are making up these giant companies.
That's awesome. Another question is, in terms of, you see so much, and probably every project that has a lot of things similar and a lot of things very unique. Do you find that, like in terms of where you want to go or where you think things are headed, do you think you're going to get more involved, or are there bigger things that you think you would be taking on beyond just like, you know, furniture spaces and, you know, do you think you're going to be involved in something bigger? Is that what things are going?
That's, you know, we've kind of got this, I don't really want to call it a world domination plan. That sounds weird.
It's working.
But you know, we are now, we're going overseas. We're opening up an office, or we've got an office in Tokyo now, and we're working on an office in Australia. But that's kind of the first step. But as soon as that's settled, I guess, once that's in order, it would be really nice to stop and say, hey, wait. And it's coming. It's sort of like that thing, what happens after you make your millionth desk, that you said, hey, wait a second, why is it a desk? Why isn't it this or that? But you kind of, you need to go through the process. You know, as a designer, you know that design, it's nothing more than a process. Like, it's, you have to start in one place in order to get there. So, you know, we do want to mess around, or something I'd like to look at is a little more lighting, some task seating, because I think chairs are really awful.
Overdone.
Yeah, again, that's where the industrial designer explodes. That's, you get a chair. So that's something I'd love to address a little bit. And again, is if anybody's got a really great AV tech company and you want to talk, I'd love to work with this sort of integration of how technology interacts with a desk, rather than just having a plug in the back where you plug your laptop. It could be a lot smarter than that.
Yeah, and I think that's where there is a lot of room for that to evolve.
Yeah.
Cool. I'd like to open it up to the audience to basically Q&A and see what people are thinking.
Hi, my name is Jessie. I'm an interior architect based in Culver City.
Okay.
And I'm loving everything you're talking about here, and that's why it's a little bit more business-based, I guess.
Sure.
When you design for a company, have you told them you're the only place that's going to have this type of design, or do you hold the right to that design? Can you then duplicate it, or is it, special to that space?
We don't like to sing the same song twice. Not to say that it doesn't happen. Someone will see someone will see something we've done in the past, and then try to use that as a stepping stone. But what we like to do is to say, hey, what do you guys do for a living? If you make bowling balls, let me make like a bowling ball holder next to your desk, so you can keep that there. Not everything is supposed to work for everyone. That's sort of the beauty of, this mass customization. But the crazy thing about what we do is there is no real protection. So it's not like you can, even in product design, you may be able to get a design patent on something, and if it's like an ingenious mechanical solution, you get a utility patent. But when you're doing a look, it's hard to protect, and it's hard to stop somebody from doing something similar. But we kind of joke, it's for a long time it used to just bother me, and I had sleepless nights. But now it's, hey, if somebody wants to do it, great, because we're on to the next thing. And if you're always going to be, look at a tech company, you can either be the guy chasing or the guy that innovated it. Pick who you want to be. We'd rather be that innovator.
Hey, I'm Don Miller, industrial designer, currently working out at City of Industry.
Cool.
And so I've worked with a lot of, mechanisms that sort of you're talking about the sort of sit-stand desks, and you also want to create these desks that'll last centuries. What kind of testing do you put your desk through when you're introducing a mechanism like that? Because that's definitely like introducing a big point of failure. Like, how do you ensure that that's going to survive the test of time?
We've got a bit of a philosophy in the studio, is that we build it probably 100 times stronger than it ever needs to be, and that's how you ensure that it'll never break. Yeah, that's kind of it.
Overbuilt.
Here's our, again, it speaks to my philosophy on sustainability. Again, like, make it so it's not going to break. We're able to put a little bit more dough into something, and we may charge a little bit more, but it's going to last forever, and then I don't have to worry about goofy warranty issues and stuff like that. Because we've got the luxury that our look is a little bit ingrained in that. Is we can over-design it. I mean, I don't know if in the 10 years that MASH has been selling, I don't think we've ever had a warranty issue, which is kind of weird and cool. But there's some stuff, because we also work with a lot of natural materials. Like, we're big fans of solid wood, and solid wood there's a reason why not many people do it anymore, because there's an art to it. It's tough. So that's I guess our take on design. Again, we don't incorporate design obsolescence in any of our pieces. Cool. Thanks.
Hi, Ben. Thank you for the talk. I was just curious and wanted to ask you, every time you start a new project, what would you describe as part of the biggest challenges, or at what stage do the biggest challenges ever present?
Clients. No, we try. We're usually fighting against the clock, so I think that's something that also sets us apart, is our ability to react that quickly. It's kind of designing a whole different. You go to some of the the big companies, and the development cycles being 5 years, and it goes through design committees, and then they have, I'm sure you guys do your blind research studies and your, whatever these testing and whatnot. We don't have that luxury. So, but what becomes kind of cool about it, and usually the clients we're working with, is they trust us, and they believe what we do is a little bit, that we're going to get it done. So I guess the biggest challenge again is time. We've kind of come up with these systems that the day an order comes in is the day it hits the saw, essentially. It has to happen that way. So time is a big one. If we only had more time.
It's universal.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sean. I'm a software engineer. And I was just curious, looking at your stand-up, I actually want one of those, but have you worked with any surfaces that incorporate like nanotechnology or anything that actually incorporates, kind of the latest technology in material science?
You know what? Would love to. The problem is my experience with nanotechnology. Like, I haven't played with it as much as I'd like to. But again, in the future, I'd love to get involved, and I'm always waiting for some sophomore young engineer to stand in the back of the crowd to say that, oh my God, I have this product that I'd love to integrate into a desk. Yeah, would love that. I told you that we're a little Amish right now, but I think that as soon as these technologies emerge, and I'm a pretty big nerd too, and I stay up on that, but to date haven't found something that would really be applicable for us in that respect. So answer is not so much. I wish one of the schools would approach us and say, we want to do let's do a joint project.
Hi. Over here. Hi. My name is MJ. I'm glad you mentioned schools because I've been a teacher for the past 12 years. And as an educator, we've always thought about how to optimize learning, doing workstations, Socratic seminars here. I was a former English teacher. So, have you thought about expanding the market to the education, private and public sector?
Well, let me tell you about that. A lot. We do some work for private sector education. The bureaucracy of those type of institutions basically just go completely against what we stand for. Anything that needs to be reviewed by a committee of more than 5 people, it becomes very difficult. We have, and there's, I do give credit to, I think the schools are kind of starting to figure out that they need to get a little bit cooler and better. But it's, state schools forget it because all that's, this kind of crazy bid process, and they're going to buy kind of the cheapest thing that they can. And the private schools, we just haven't had a whole lot of luck because there's, so many levels. And then we've kind of got a funny business in that we don't do sales or anything like that. And usually everybody else does. So there's always some sort of weird nepotism and things like that. But not to say I wouldn't do it, I think it's cool. I think students are cool. All right. We love that. There you go. Talk to Leah over there. That's what she does.
So I noticed in all of your work, first of all, it's beautiful, but I noticed there was no art in any of it, and I was wondering, since you are trying to build these timeless designs that last for a really long period of time, is art something that you can use to make it customizable in the sense that it can change from when Uber moves to their next office, someone can come in and feel like this is still their space, they made it theirs without having to redo everything?
I haven't really done art per se. I mean, we've done some designs on some tops and stuff like that, or using, our thing is we like to use like a lot of old school joinery and technology and stuff like that. That's kind of hard to do with, real craft style woodworking. So that's kind of the extent of the art that we're putting into it. But again, that the idea of bringing, I'm not quite sure if you're talking like art, or we've done screen prints on some stuff. But as a design guy, our stuff tends to not scream. I don't like, it tends to be a little bit soft-spoken. That it becomes cool when you come up on it and start messing. To me, the art is in a finish, in a patina, come up and touch. I don't even know if that's a good one, but most of the walnut tables we have this as a prototype. But that's where our artistry comes in. Is that if you know what you're looking for, that's our kind of nerdy furniture background. It's not so in your face, but rather this kind of tactile. There are blends of materials and using 2 or 3 different finishes together. That's I say that for me it's like a composition of a painting. is how much of this material are you using, and you know, a little piece of that. No, it's too much. Make it a little less. And now it's just right. So I guess in the way of dodging the question, that's our art.
Yeah, I definitely see the art in what you do. I was just wondering, as far as like actual art on the wall or something like that, if that's something that you clearly haven't considered in the past. I'm wondering sort of like what your philosophy is, if it's just that this is what you like to focus on.
Just have it out there. You know, we leave that, like I said, in this team approach to space design, everybody's got a bit of a something they're good at, and there's usually an art guy that's coming around and he's figuring out what's been going well. I went to art school, but I wasn't very good at it, so I'll leave that to somebody else.
Hi, my name is Diana. I'm a design researcher. So you talk about coming to California, and California is very much about new technology and user experience design. So how do you compare California to states in the middle, like Wisconsin or Michigan, where a lot of the big furniture companies located?
It was all cold. You know, it's funny because I think I look at our front row and I think, we've got a couple of Californians there, but most of us kind of came from cold climates. But the one thing that I think that Californians or this sort of side of the world strip embraces is this sort of this natural materials. Once in a while, we'll go to Chicago and we'll talk to some clients, and we'll bring up the concept of using solid wood, and their minds blown. You know, they're like, "Hey, we're not ready for that yet." But the design aesthetic out here is that we've because we work a lot in technology, we don't need those sharp corners anymore. We don't need that kind of artificially perfect. You know, that was the thing for a long time, is that we struggled to make something perfect. We wanted to make a perfect white box. As perfect as you can get it. And then we did it. And now it's kind of going the other way, where the surfaces are soft. Not so cold anymore. Everybody wants to be comfy. And once those cold Midwesterners thaw out a little bit, I think that they're just a little bit slower to adapt. They're slower to accept, you know, this kind of change thing. And that's kind of what makes California very cool.
I know you guys are space and design, so my question is, have you done much convertible furniture?
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's talk about that one. Yeah, we do. We've got one ongoing project going. We call it Office in a Box. Everybody always loves that. Something that opens up and converts and, you know, kind of transforms into something different. It's just, we always cringe because imagine 1,000 22-year-olds running around a space. They're usually, you know, about 90 pounds, and they've got to somehow figure out and pull a desk down without killing themselves, without breaking something, without damaging. It's a challenge, and of course they want to do it for you know, on a budget, but it's fun. You know, it's certainly a challenge, and I think that more the deeper we get into it, the more, integrating technologies and things, I'm into it. The first guy I worked with when I was in New York, he was a furniture designer, but his father was a magician. And he grew up working in the wood shop, creating all those magician boxes and things like that, where they would cut somebody in half and stuff. So all of our furniture that we did there, it did something else. So I'm, again, I've got a love-hate with it because it gets beat up in that type of environment. Commercial design's a lot different than doing a residential. In that people work things pretty hard, so that's always something that we have to think to: is who's the user and what are they going to do to it once you're gone?
Hey Bernard.
Hey.
Thanks for the shout out. You alluded in one of your last answers to the fact that it takes a team to do these projects. You might be working as a furniture designer with an interior designer or architect, lighting designer, art consultant. How do you see your position, Nash Studios' position within that team, and what do you think?
We call ourselves that, we're first and foremost the furniture guys. Our best projects tend to be ones that the client realizes, the need for these kind of this team based approach, and they don't bring in really my favorite guys to work are with. It's someone that doesn't have a giant ego and understands that everybody has a role in the project, and I'm not going to mess with your lighting. I'm not going to mess with your door jambs and your bow truss ceilings and things like that. But what I'm going to do, what we do, is we look to see, or in this kind of team-based approach, look to see what everybody else is doing, and like in an orchestra or a symphony or whatever, everybody's playing together, and when everybody's going in the same direction, that's when you get something great. It's not when you get a bunch of people trying to scream out their own, their own design. So that's something that, when we talk about our desks being a little more muted and our conference tables not being, unless it's supposed to be. If you give me a white box and tell me to put a table in it, that's going to be an amazing table. But now if you tell me that it's something else and it needs to work with this, this digital wall, and we've got, all this AV equipment in it, then we're going to play a different role.
But, you seem to have a good handle on trends in the workspace, right? So do you ever get in early so you have some opportunity to think about space planning?
Funny enough, what we do is we find like-minded people. We don't, when we're going out looking for work, there can be a really big job, but if there's no way we're going to ever see eye to eye, we kind of stay away from it. So we tend to find clients, architects, kind of property guys that we're thinking the same. At least we're speaking the same design language a little bit. But we do have a pretty broad breadth of what we do, from a white Corian thermoform piece that's looks like it came out of a spaceship to something that looks like it was made 300 years ago.
Hey, you keep mentioning your accelerated timelines, and you're saying, as soon as the order comes in, hits the saw.
Mm-hmm.
So besides throwing, measure twice, cut once out the door. I I guess how do you make sure you hit those timelines? How do you work with the manufacturing? What control do you have in the manufacturing? Because I find like just in the work I've done, like that's the hardest part is like making sure that the manufacturing is in line, everything sort of stays on track, and those are the threads that can get lost and mess up the timeline really quickly.
Yeah, it's definitely the hardest thing that we do is just every project tends to have a whole bunch of people monitoring, but figuring out just a system that allows you to react the second something happens. It's not, we always talk about like the stack of projects. There's no such thing as a stack of projects. There's only one project. That project hits the desk, somebody picks it up and goes to work on it. It's not put on top and when we get to it, we'll get to it. That's one thing. So in the design studio, that's something that's, we drill, really hard is the second something happens, it's time to go. But then in our manufacturing, because we had some issues with that, that's when we said, hey, when we started off, we were, we subbed out most of our components and we were doing this kind of component supply like Ford. But then we said, hey, you know what? We need to control this more. We need to be able to control our products. So we've instituted that same philosophy in the manufacturing as well. And what was kind of cool about that was kind of the seamlessness in which it's able to happen from, when there's a computer rendering, that the rendering can go, the information contained within goes into engineering drawing, and that engineering drawing, the information within that goes to the programmer, and the programmer spits it out onto a piece of wood. So it's a kind of a seamless transaction.
And I guess just a minor point. So let's say you're working with these cast bases, and is it sort of like you have those hiccups at the beginning maybe, but then by the time you find a good partner on that, you figure out really who's the guys to work with and where you might hit hiccups. Like your wood guys are great, your casting guys are great, but maybe your fitting suppliers are sort of iffy.
There's some stuff. I mean, with I guess when you make a million desks, you kind of figure it out. It takes a little bit, maybe $500,000 to sort it out. But again, it's this notion of partners and teams, and not trying to. You can't be great at everything, so I guess we try to be great at just our thing. I don't try to get into everything anymore. All good, everybody's hungry and is ready for some more treats.
Got more questions? Okay, that's good.
Awesome.
Well,
thanks.
I want to thank Bernard for